everyone, and a warm welcome to Apex Racing League. It is myself, Sabi, and I'll be taking you all through for an adventurous round 7 of this championship. As a bit of a quick intro, so as we are in here at the moment, looking for these drivers to do some practice, and I'll be taking you all through for the session as qualifying is delayed for a moment. So let's have a look at let's give you guys a bit of an overview about the have a look at the drivers first, actually, and who we have here. We have here RLD Racing Johnny in P2 in this practice session with Kane, followed by Numpty Ned. Then comes Monty with Wolf. Then comes Gran Cooper with Peggy. Then Plenty. One Parawood with Nitu, Smoke Dog, GT, Ren Cooper again, Blue Book plays Jones. So that seems 15 drivers we have for the night as it stands. So just before we get started, before we get into qualifying, let's have a look at the standings, the championship standings that have happened this season so far in the first 6 rounds. So look at this then, the Project GT, the team is in P1, 367 points to their name, with Highland Farmers with 317 in P2, followed by Team Payne with 294 in 3rd place. The two teams with interestingly, 2 teams with over 300 points, 2 teams with over 200 points. Then 2 teams again with over 100 points as well. So that's a nice little bit of combo. So third for Team Payne, then Apex Original Racing 245, then Ashton GP with 182. Just behind them is Karaoke Racing 155. Just in the bottom 2 are Allied Racing with 95, and Netbook Racing in 50 with 53 points to their name. So Drivers' Championship, I think this is the same one. I believe it is the same one that I've just been told to use, and we'll just confirm that apparently, which I wonder if any of the orders are different. I don't think so. So these are your drivers' standings for the first 6 rounds, ladies and gentlemen. The format here is 2 races, of course. 2 races. It's going to be 15 minutes of qualifying, then 25 minutes of a sprint race, obviously, then an endurance race, which I believe is the reverse grid from the first race. The grid is set up for that one. 201 points GT leads by for Project GT. Then Plenty in P2 with 199 points to their name. 161 for Ryan Cooper in 3rd place in the Drivers' Championship, followed by Leo for Apex Original Racing with 134 in 4th place, followed by 122 points. 12 behind him is Johnny. Then comes Mateus. In fact, that is interesting. Alright, that was a changing. I think qualifying should be starting now in a little bit of time. I don't think it might have started. Yep, qualifying should have started now, as it's 15 minutes. I wonder when where we get the minutes. Obviously, keep in mind that this is my 2nd time overall on GT7. Usually, I do on the F1 game. Sorry, I didn't really give any overview about myself. Starting in a hurry. My name is Zabi, and I do commentary all over league racing and esports. That is overall, and there is a guy with, I was told there was a guy with connection issues. I wonder who that is. Is that the driver that we are looking at? Because he went into the wall, and again he has straight away without any movement as get back out of track. So maybe that would be a bit of issue. So getting back to where we were, 100 and Johnny, then Mateus, then comes Kane. Behind him, 111, only 3 points separating these two. That is interesting. Then Monte Carlos with 82, followed by one Paravid, 72, then 69 points to Smoke Dog, just ahead of Nitu, who's got 62, then 44 for T Jones, 27, 17, 13, 6 and 1 points. And 3 drivers who haven't got a point on board at all. As these are results from the last 2 rounds. It was a bonus round as being basically the last round, round 6 that was. 2 races, the race with 1 point and then the race 2 points. It was Ashton for Gran Cooper who got the most points. In fact, no, that's not in order. The most points were taken by Leo for Apex Racing Originals. You can have all of that. These are your overview from the previous race then. All right, then let's jump out here in qualifying and then let's have a look at this. For drivers, we already have some of them out on track, almost every single one of them out on track at the moment as it stands. So qualifying now starting, and I think we should have used the correct we should have used the correct overlays that we were supposed to for the championship. There we go then. Now let's have a look at this. Qualifying session has started. I wonder if there is any more settings we do. Display names, display driver names. We should have driver names and all of the information that we are looking for. Let's have a look at this then. So at the moment, as drivers, more and more drivers are setting up times on board. It is plenty in P1 at the moment as it stands ahead of everyone. 9/10. Clear of the next car of Need2 119.026 from Plenty. That is Need2 119.996. That is a pretty slow time as compared to Plenty's time in P1 with 1 Parawood in P3. That is interesting, 169 their lap it shows. So there might be a bit of a confusion in terms of how fast these cars are going, because I think this overlay basically updates very late than what I must be used to. So look at this then. We'll be in fact on board with the first driver who's going to be coming up to the end of their lap, and slightly goes wide does GT at P5 at the moment their time is. But how good is that going to be from them at the end of this lap? We're about to find out as they got the final few corners to make their way around, as GT will be a driver with the first one we watch ourselves go over the finish line and complete their flying lap and over to it. That is gonna be 120.1. That is a still they stay where they were, P5 for them. And now looking at, in fact, trying to find drivers who are, or in fact have done laps. So 120.1, 120 seem to be the laps at the moment. Fastest lap is to Plenty, 119.026 for them. Still unbeaten by anybody just yet. Obviously just in qualifying, so that is going to be changing every now and then. I believe every time every driver goes over the line, things should be changing. And now Johnny goes over the line, goes P2, pushes Monty down in P3 and RLD as well. Many others are now coming over the line. The problem just here is that it's not in order. If I go in here, no, in fact that is in order, but on track, whoever is out on track, it's not in order in terms of who comes on over the finish line first and who's second. Obviously, apologies if this is a little bit mismanaged myself. This is my second time managing a live GT7 race, so that sums it up. But now looking at drivers and looking after one, and that's going to be Need2, who will be having AI on. Does he go in the pits? Does he continue on? He does continues on. Just in there on the final corner now, keeps it within the track limits and over the finish line now. How good of a lap this is, 1920.5, not as fast as he would have wished for a couple of drivers coming over the line, and Monty in P3 at the moment. In fact, a lot of drivers are out there. What about 1 Paragon currently in P6? Okay, that's the out lap, so that will not be a lap that they complete, and with others behind, that's going to be interesting to see As there we go then, one man that we'll be looking at once more. That's going to be Johnny over the finish line. Do they improve? Yes, he does improve over the finish line. 119.477 puts up his fastest lap. Stays P2, but gets his margin closer, gets himself closer to plenty. He's currently in P1. He's got a penalty, so that time is going to be added to his qualifying time out there. That is going to be a bit of a tricky problem for him. So interestingly, we have Ryan Cooper on board in that Red Bull livery, that GTR. That is interesting. He's going through. There's a car ahead of, 2 cars ahead of him, but unfortunately, just can't get there. Just can't get to those cars at all, even if I try to. In fact, we have gotten to Nitu there, but let's go to Ryan just after Nitu comes over the line. On the previous one, he slightly was trying to improve, couldn't improve, and on the final corner exit, slightly loses the car there, nearly keeps it within the track limits and just within his control, and Ryan has already got a penalty as well, unable to control so far. So different camera angles, these ones out here, that is interesting as well. So Smoke Dog, we are at the moment 2.2 seconds down on the fastest time out there. Can they improve? How much of a time are they looking to find? In that Honda they are. We're looking at the interestingly, this is almost us in their own scene. This is a nice camera angle, but can they make it all together? How good are they going to be able to do? 119.5 seems to be their fastest lap as it stands then. What about this one? How good is this one? Do they continue on? Yes, they do. We've seen 2 drivers into the pits, but they should come out in no time as well. What about Smoke Dog over the finish line? All right, that is complete mismanagement then. All right, as I said, that was their out lap rather than a flying lap that they were doing. So look at this. What about C. Jones and anybody that will get coming over the finish line? Nitu, he is going to be, and he sure is, on a flying lap and not on an out lap. But does he continue on? No, he doesn't. He comes into the pit lane then, accepting what would have not been a very fast lap. GT ahead of one Parawood at the moment in P6. On the previous one it was his out lap, and this one is a very fast one, but how fast we are about to find out as they're going to go over the line. As Plenty who's going to go ahead of them over the finish line, but that is not a fast lap from them. Almost 10th down on their previous lap, and slightly just slightly slower than their previous time, and unfortunately for them it is just where they were, and it is where they are in terms of position. They have not improved. Drivers are trying to improve, drivers are trying to find improvements overall, but they're just not able to do it. And there we go, that's great that the YouTube stream is running. And I think the stream should be on right now, and I think it is on, so that is great news for YouTube. Apologies about that, there was a bit of a delay just organizing these things. Obviously stream I do, but with different platforms, 2 platforms at once, and experiencing things, and I think it's always about learning. And there we go, Monty has put a purple fair sector, but how good is he going to be doing that? He's moving around, lagging a little bit out there, but can he keep it in control and an overall lap? I don't think so, because that snap on the exit he had, unless it was a bug or it was just a glitch because of him lagging, was shown on our screen. Otherwise, they should be a nice lap, but we'll find out how good is this one going to be at the end of this middle sector as well, whether he's able to put in overall a good lap or not, whether he's even able to put a good middle sector. No, he's a 10th down, and he will not indeed be putting a lap that's going to see him do any better. What about RLD over the finish line, trying to improve? Everybody is trying to find time, but unable to do it. So drivers, I think, rather looking at those tires as well. It's not completely gone to Plenty. He's on brand new tires now. He's on an out lap. That is interesting. Plenty's on brand new tires. Johnny, sure, he doesn't have brand new tires, but he might have only done a few laps on those, and not too bad of tires he has as well. RLD's tires are halfway distance gone. I think for qualifying, you do not want those tires to really be on your car, because you'd find it very difficult to really get the grip, or at least get the grip to drive a car very fast that you especially need in qualifying. And the man on your screen will be, in fact, no, he's going to be coming into the pit lane, wasting no time at all. One man who doesn't care about it at all. He's going to be looking for some times. He is looking after some time. He has decent tire grip on those tires as well. And over the finish line, he does find a better time finally after a while and goes up to P4. And that is brilliantly done. His fastest lap, 119.996. Sorry, 119.346, but I think that might be invalidated because it says it's a red on that one. Unfortunately, with this game, what about Johnny? How good of a lap does he do? His tires are not good of a condition. Goes P, still stays where he is in P2, but only a 10th behind. Only a 10th behind Mr. Plenty. MRL Plenty. He needs to improve now, otherwise everyone's going to be catching up, and he is not improving at all, at least in that first sector. He is not able to improve, and he is not improving at all, and that might be trouble for him up for Plenty, because that, you know that you have to be improving, especially when the rate where others are catching you up. Others at a rate of Johnny, who's only a 10th now down on Plenty. Meanwhile, Kane is in the pits as well. He's about 2.7 tenths down, but he's just going to go in, put a set of new tyres and get back out on track. Get fuel if they need it. I don't think they will fuel it up, considering the less fuel you have, the better it is. Meanwhile, Nidu comes into the pits as well. What about RLD, as he gets a little bit of an improvement as well, but will he be getting a improvement that's going to put him very fast or anywhere near the top 3? Not just yet though, but he's taking it easy, taking it nice and smooth, as we're going to be looking at different drivers as he comes into the pits. And I think now it's time, at the moment, 9 laps, lap 9, lap 10 from these drivers, considering how many laps they've done on these tyres that they currently are on, so they would be looking to change and really do a lap that's at least going to get them something in a way that, you know, gets you different bits of settings, but not settings, but basically time, and slightly loses the car there on the exit. Almost you'd have thought that Gran lost that rear end on the exit of turn 4, but nearly keeps the car back, gets the car back in control. And I think qualifying just seems to be out of place in my opinion, because usually catching up with the cars that are about to go over the finish line is a good practice in terms of, you know, you get to know how good of a lap time they do, but eventually in a situation like this, meanwhile, Nitu has got brand new tyres in as well. He went in, he's got new tyres, and alright, so Nitu and obviously Johnny should be on the same team, so that's why they've got obviously same liveries, just like RLD, and I think One Para should be on the same team. They have a similar kind of liveries as well, as Para is going to be coming around the final corner now. There's a lot of drivers within each other as well over the finish line. How good of a lap that is, slightly better than their previous one, but not enough. 120.021 as they go up the road and slightly deep up towards turn 1. They go into the gravel there. I wonder if that was on purpose or they just ran a bit too deep, as they've now came into the pits and not to worry about anything at all. Monty finding a bit of time. Monty's fastest lap at the moment is 119.210, but how good of a lap time that will be. And 119.026 from Plenty has not yet been beaten at all, as Monty's car is flying but is lagging all over the place, and he's ruined it. And no, in fact, he's back out on track after a bit of a problem, and he's going to go up to B5, 119.352 as it stands. It's going to be the final lap. At least it was for Monty, and there we go for Nitu as well. So everybody around should be on their final lap. Kane unable to improve, but still in P3. Stay P3 they are, as Plenty is still in the pits. So all eyes will be on this man, and that is going to be Johnny, if he keeps the car on one piece, and he's not improving at least so far at the moment. And that means that qualifying should be over, ladies and gentlemen, and nobody really able to get closer to Plenty's time and really beat him, unless Johnny, and no, he will not be beating that as well. I think he might just want to go and take the checkered flag at the end of qualifying. Monty it has slowed down as well. So a couple of drivers inside the pits, and I think now qualifying action is coming to an end with MRL plenty at the top of the timings, at the top of the field of everyone. And now it is time for our first race, for our first of the two 25-minute races around here at the Red Bull Ring, and I'm sure this is going to be nothing but exciting between these drivers. It was qualifying, but these drivers will give it up everything. Out there, and there we go. So these are your qualifying results, ladies and gentlemen. As it stands, these we'll have one more look at it. Qualifying, 15-minute qualifying is over. That's going to be 20 laps of racing then, which should be, and whatever happens in this one, in the next one, it'll be the reverse grid of it. So look at this, as it is. P1 for Plenty, P2 for Johnny, P3 for Kane, P4 for Nitu, P5 for Monty. Then comes RLD Racing. I wonder what their real name would be. Then comes obviously Numpy Ned and GT, Ryan Cooper and One Bar Power would complete out the top 10 out there. Just outside of it is Paggy in P11, Jones in P12, it's Smoke Dog in P13, followed by Wolf in P15. Then Le Bouc plays in P15. That is nice and easy, as we're now just waiting for qualifying to be, for the race to be started. So this is then a 10th down on Plenty was Johnny in the end. Unfortunately, not able to get that extra time, not able to get just that 1/10 that we thought he will get, but eventually he could not, he couldn't get at all. So Deverell, that is their real name. RLD maybe? Okay, then we should have a next page for the next cars. First 10 on one, the other 5 on the other. All sorts of drivers, all sorts of categories, obviously, of drivers, you know, in terms of how good they drive out there. So let's have a look at this. Who do you support, ladies and gentlemen? Do you think will it be Plenty taking the win as well? Will he be able to cope up on his victory, on his pole position, or do you think anybody else inside the top 3, Johnny or Kane, will be able to catch up, or even the top 5 drivers that eventually are sure good contenders as well, considering Nitu and Monty as well, and the top 10 would be there as well. So now let's see, as soon as we are ready to go racing, we will, and as ready as these drivers are. Alright, I was trying to click it with my mouse, but obviously my mouse will not work on this one. I'll need to use my, is there any rain actually? I'm pretty new to this GT7 overall, so I honestly have no idea whether even there is any rain or what this radar honestly means. Eventually, I mean, sure, as a commentator you should, but GT7 is just not the sim or the game that I usually you know, do, a game that I haven't worked much on, but definitely as we are here, as there we go, have a good race, says Monty, and we could say to everyone, have a good race, best of luck every single one of these drivers out there, as we are going to try and get all the info out on track, as we should have them start. It is a standing start, ladies and gentlemen. Plenty on pole position. Pole with Johnny in P2, Kane in P3, followed by Nitu and Montigal. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 lights are going to be out here at the Red Bull Ring. It's going to be a brilliant start for Plenty there in the P2. Johnny doesn't have a decent start. Kane has a brilliant start there into turn 1. He goes a little bit wide. That might allow others to come back at him, and sure, they will come back. There's a bit of a chaos into turn 1. It's going to be Kane and Nitu fighting for that second place. Meanwhile, at the back, there's going to be somewhat action between Monty and GT there, as they're going to be fighting as well, and they're all going to be will to will, heading towards turn 3 into the right hand, and nearly we saw almost one of the cars ahead colliding with each other, but just keeping out of it once more, as they are again side by side, the two teammates of Johnny and Nitu, I think that is, but in fact no, Monty is in between those two teammates, and he has pushed the long way around. There's Johnny out there, they slightly made contact as well, and Johnny again gets through and ahead, Monty gets through and ahead of Johnny out there. At the front is Nitu in P3, and he continues on. The top two have slightly pulled away from the rest of the grid as it stands. Nitu now in P3 goes a little bit wide. That's going to allow GT to get through, and ahead of him already round the outside. They're going to be both wheel to wheel and side by side between the two. Who's going to be late on the brakes? On the inside line is Nitu, and it's going to be through, but he's going to go a little bit wide, and through goes GT and into the final corner. He's going to take that third place and keeps it to himself, and others are going to be catching up. Meanwhile at the front, the lead for the challenge for the lead is on, as Kane has got him past Mr. MRL Plenty as well, and he's through on them, and a position has been taken. It only took a lap for Kane to get past Plenty there, and to lap 2 we are. Brilliantly done at the moment. Meanwhile at the back there's drivers going quite crazy as well, as RLD and GT are going for it as well. Nitu goes a little bit wide. He's lost a couple of positions after fighting with, after losing out to Monty out there, and GT as well. So these they've lost out a couple of positions. Meanwhile at the back, Ryan is slightly, maybe for a moment you have thought he's going to try and get past him, but he doesn't get past him at all, as they're all looking for him. What about Paggy? He should be Kane's teammate. Obviously they're running the same liveried cars. Meanwhile one Paravid and RLD, the two teammates, one in P10, the other is somewhere inside the top 7 out there. What about Numpy Ned in P11, 7 tenths to the next car behind him, and Sifar 7 tenths to the car ahead as well. Meanwhile at the front, they had an opportunity, you would have thought, but no. Smoke Dog in P11, Ryan Cooper in P12 for the moment, followed by Jones in P13, then Lubbock Plays in P14 at the moment as it stands. P15 for Wolf out there as it stands. Our race leader has continued on. Our race leader has kept all they could, and they've done a brilliant job so far to themselves. Meanwhile, Plenty 1.7 seconds with 6 tenths behind to the next car. Meanwhile, Johnny's going to be looking for opportunity. Slightly has a loose rear end on the exit of it, and that might cost him into turn 4. Is it going to allow the GT for GT to get closer? No, in fact, it will not allow him. It might in fact allow Johnny to go for it on the inside line towards turn 4. For a moment you thought he's going to go for it on Monty on the inside, but just has to back out and doesn't quite think about doing that. But one man who will think about doing an overtake, and that'll be Peggy on Nitu, but he has to back out as well. Just doesn't think it would have been necessary to overtake. Meanwhile, penalty for Ryan Cooper, and he'll have to slow down to the next penalty gate. Let's go back to the drivers at the top, and that is going to be Peggy through and ahead of Nitu, who I believe had to slow down because of a penalty, and Peggy gets that 7th place so far. There might be an opportunity for one Parawood to get past him. Can he get past him though, because he's got the opportunity to get past, but then he got the challenge of Nitu right behind as well, so the pressure is going to be on. The pressure is building from both the sides, from front and back as well. What about this one though? Fight for 5th place between GT and RLD out there. Can RLD go for it on the inside line or the outside line? And a little bit different than the car ahead. No, they can't stay where they are. Another opportunity towards turn 4. Slightly goes on the grass, but a little bit coming back out on track in no time. 5 tenths to the next car. Can he make the most use of it? Just about right now, no. That is not enough for RLD just yet, and their livery is interesting. It's don't know about opponents, but this with the reflection from the sun, it's at least very difficult to look at that car. And that is interesting. Obviously GT7 in overall GT7, I believe it's just reflections and graphics. Anyway, they're the best. The graphics are really nothing less than a movie, in my opinion. Meanwhile, Johnny now is going to try and recover all the mistakes that he made earlier on Carlos at the moment as it stands, but how long will he be able to do that in? Meanwhile, Kane was 1.7 seconds ahead of Plenty a few laps ago. Now 1.5 seconds, but Plenty's got a pressure of Carlos. Carlos in fact, he's 7 tenths behind him now, so that is overall a bit of a problem. Meanwhile, lap 5 has started for our race leader. The gaps look closed. The gaps are closed, but just not close enough for really, you know, moves and overtakes just yet. That's what we could say. And tyres, look at that. I wonder how many times are they going to be pitting in this race, because those tyres are halfway done. And look at that. Plenty as compared to everyone else. Look at the tyre wear. Nobody, I doubt anybody has as much tyre wear. Okay, one Parawood does, but they're at the back of the grid. Alright, interesting. So these drivers at the back do have some more grip, so maybe they are not pushing, or simply just being stuck behind a car. They just haven't got the opportunity to pretty much really pit at all. That's just what comes to my mind, which obviously an opportunity they will not be forgetting about, just like Le Buc, as he's going to get past Smoke and get ahead of him without having to worry about anything, and continue into P13. And an overtake has been done, but Smoke might try and come back at him, and an opportunity for Smoke to come back, and an overtake done by him once more will be done not far away. Meanwhile, Jones is trying to get past Numpty-Bet there, but for how long before he does get past him? How long will he be able to do and make that overtake in, or even will he be able to make that overtake or not? There's a question. That is a big question. Meanwhile, at the back, once more, Smoke is going to try and get past Le Buc this time around, and he's going to go towards the wall. Nearly hits the wall there on the exit of turn 3. And that's all that pressure. He went late on the brakes. He's trying to get that place back to himself, and on the exit, loses the car, goes towards the wall, just saves it from the wall, but he's lost out. He lost out all those positions, and now in P14. 14 he is, and remember whatever the grid for this race, or whatever the finish results for this race is, the grid for the next one is going to be the reverse of this, so that is how the grid will be set up for the next one. So lap 6 out of 20. Meanwhile, Jones on the inside of Cooper for a moment, for just one moment you would have thought he's going to try and get past, but he doesn't try and get past him about just yet. Meanwhile, Kane is into the pit lane, and Jones is now going to be getting past Ryan Cooper, or will he? Because Ryan's going to be around the outside. He will be braking later than the C. Jones car, and they make contact as Cooper's pushed a little bit wide, and he goes wide but comes back on the second in no time. Rejoins nice and easy. It is going to be C. Jones versus Cooper, who's going to be coming out on top once more. Will it be C. Jones late on the brakes, or will it be Cooper? He nearly just defends it, or does he? Yes, he does. And what a movement. Meanwhile, Le Buc at the back of Numpty-Bet, the two teammates in these Honda cars are trying to fight each other off at this point in time. That's interesting, a little bit of a fight between the two teammates, and just trying to do all they can for themselves. So that's interesting. Smoke in P13. Kane, the just pitted. He might have just taken a bit of fuel as well, along with brand new tyres that at least should see them go halfway distance from here. If he takes care of them, might go towards the end, but I think he might have pitted earlier, but let's see. I think we definitely don't know how much these tyres lost last. Meanwhile, our leader is out there since Kane pitting. Plenty has got that race lead, and he nearly lost the car out there on the exit, and that explains that the low grip that these tyres will have, and every single lap they do on these tyres, that's going to be worsening and worsening every time, because if you're running racing soft tyre, that sure it's a Red Bull Ring and it's a circuit that's not too harsh on tyres, but still those racing soft tyres are not really going to be lasting you all laps. You know, in terms of, sure, they're going to feel the best for the first few laps, but as soon as the grip drops, that would really be a bit of a difficult period for drivers to get past and at least stay out on track, because we've seen a couple of drivers make some mistakes. I'm not saying that's because of simply the less tyre grip they have, but still tyre grip is one of those factors, and Eventually, I think these drivers would rather want to at least do 10 laps on these tyres and make it a one-stop, because Kane has pitted, and that would might just turn into a two-stop. What about Monty along with Johnny? Along with Johnny, his tyres are gone, completely gone. And I think then you look at someone like Plenty, his tyres are not even used, because they've completely cooked the tyres. Have those who pitted, and Johnny out there as well, completely tyres cooked from him. Meanwhile, Kane is going to try and get past Numpty, and Numpty out there is going to try and get past him. He's going to try and get past Ned. He's going to try and get the opportunity to overtake him. He does get the opportunity to overtake him around the outside. He nearly T-bones him from behind, but just saves it enough time. And around the outside goes Kane, back to P7. And now, not the opportunity, but basically the wait for him would rather be that everybody pits ahead of him, and he gets the overtake, he gets the opportunity, and simply the place that was his before the stop should be his about right now as well. Meanwhile, at the front, it's going to be Nitu, it's going to be Jones, it is going to be LeBook Blaze in P3, 3, 4, and 5. They are. Meanwhile, Ryan Cooper is just not far up the road at all, as Jones in P4 at the moment, trying to get past Nitu, who comes into the pit lane. Nobody does into the final corner. Nitu's definitely struggling on those tyres. Jones, a similar condition, but slightly better. The rears, the fronts overall, and Nitu. Is Jones going to go for it on the inside line? Yes, he does, but is he going to be making the move stick? They nearly make contact, and he has to back out of it, and he does back out just at the very end, and I think had he not done that, that could have ended up in a very bad way. Meanwhile, Jones is past Book, but Book might have an opportunity to go for it on him now on the inside line. Is Jones going to be going for it? Yes, he will be going for it this time. He comes a little bit better, and Nitu, nice and easy, gives the opportunity, but he's went a little bit deep, and he's went very deep. That's going to allow Book to come back at him, and they're all going to be 3 wide heading towards 10-4. Nitu's going to defend the outside line, and Jones is going to go for it on the inside, rather 3 wide, and they make contact. Nearly push the car ahead into the next one, but they make contact, and Nitu has to lose out, and Kane's going to be through as well. These guys are having a fight, and Kane is on it, not letting them fight at all in terms of at least, okay, you can fight, but at least let me get past first, and then you will fight, then you'll get to fight. Otherwise, I'm going to join in as well, and you ruin your party, which at least they've understood and let him get past and ahead of them so far. 10 laps in, and still Plenty has not pitted. I think tyre management, tyre whispering from him and Ryan Cooper at the moment, along with oh, that is interesting. Jones even has more tyre wear than two. That is brilliant. There's more tyre whispers out there, I think, but still, in his case, he's at the top. So when they've been a little bit harder, but Kane is already through and ahead into P4. He's going to get past Book. He's now going to try and get past Jones as well. That is brilliant. Every one of them got past Nitu, and he's in a little bit of a trouble now. Not trouble, and it is indeed, he is in those troubles because his tyres are completely gone, and now Numpty's getting past him as well. They might be banging wheels as at the front. That is going to be a little bit of an issue as well, because you have to be very careful. Not only banging wheels with each other, but racing nice and easy as well. It is going to be Smoke on the inside line, Nitu on the outside line. Who has the better grip and traction? It seems to be Smoke, or is it? As Nitu's going to come back at him on the inside line. Through he goes. He will have the inside, and he's going to be getting past and ahead of Smoke out there. Gets the job done, but Smoke's going to come back at him, and once more he's going to be in ahead of him. They're both wheel to wheel and side by side action between the two, and Smoke's now once more ahead and through into P6. That will allow Nitu to come back at him once more. He does allow him as into the final corner. He's going to go for it and send it there, but I think he's going to run both of them wide, and that will allow Numpty to come back at him. Meanwhile, Para goes on to a set of mediums out there on the inside line. Through and go ahead goes Smoke, but for how long before Numpty and Nitu come back at him and really give him and challenge that he would not be wanting, he would not really want, he would rather want a nice and easy one. Let's go down the inside, neat. Numpty's barely looking for it out there. Meanwhile, Johnny has came back as well. His tyres are already now wearing out, but I think he should be finishing this race to the end of these tyre compounds that he has. And he's in P6 already. And I think right now he would want to get past Smoke and catch up to Ryan Cooper. Meanwhile, Kane has caught up, and Plenty is in 20.8 seconds ahead of him, and is now in the pit lane. And time for a set of medium compound tyre, and a time for a new set of tyres to get them some better and brilliant grip. Jones might have not pitted as well as alright, sorry, Jones hadn't pitted. Kane doesn't need to pit. Plenty needs to pit, and he is coming into the pit lane as well, and that is going to be a bit of refueling as well to get ready and to get B to be in all requirements ready for the race win, for that race opportunity. It's got the soft tyres, that is interesting. A couple of drivers going for a medium, but I think he's brilliantly done that, and I think that would be the case, which we obviously didn't have the information about, but yeah, that would eventually be the case, that those were the medium tyres. That was definitely those medium tyres was the reason that he had better grip, he had overall better tyre life than everyone else as well. So maybe those first it was medium tyres, and now it is the soft compound tyre to go now to the end of this one. But for how long? Meanwhile, at the top, Kane leads by 3.4 seconds. Still Ryan Cooper in P2 with Johnny in P4 at the moment. Plenty in P4, yes, with Numpty Ned in P5, 1.1 second behind to the next car, 9/10 to the next car, ahead of the next car as well. That is interesting with one para in P6 so far, 8/10 to the next car, 3.9 seconds to the car behind. And there it comes. Kane has pitted once more, and he's into the pit lane. His second pit stop is coming to an end. I think if that is concerned, Plenty might not need to pit, or might not want to pit again, and a possible one stop and a strategy that at least he would think, that should get him through, and he will try and get through, and on those sets of tires, and especially the fuel, which is the more issue than after all. And the two, no, in fact, no, they're not the teammates. I was about to say the two teammates. But no, they were not teammates. And there we go. One Parabot is past Numpty Ned, and Numpty just MP4 at the moment. Obviously, some drivers having pitted, and look at that, those tyres are not lasting, and definitely he's coming in the end of this lap. So as part of it, this fuel is out. The fuel is out of these guys. It's more than tire wear. The fuel is what is really hitting these rides. What's really making their life difficult for these drivers, because you want to get fuel, you need to get fuel, but you don't want to get too much, or even a little bit more than your teammates. Meanwhile, Monty's going to be heading towards the wall, just on the exit, lost it on his own, sliding left and right, and he finds himself towards the wall. That is not so good at all. I think he's just slightly struggled on it out there. I mean, he's trying to keep it on track, but unfortunately failed out there, as Smoke's now going to be through and ahead as well to Monty with that big mistake, has lost out a couple of positions out there. Watching are really enjoying him. Meanwhile, one Parabot along with Numpty Net and Lubuk are into the pit lane. And he's out. Doesn't come out ahead of Wolf. Yes, he easily should. So now look at this one at the top. Need to in P11, P10. For Monte Carlos, yes, P10 for Monte Carlos. Smoke in 9, Ryan Cooper in P8 at the moment, followed by C. Jones in P7, P6 for Kane. That is interesting. And oh no, in fact he pitted again. Yeah, it was highlighted. He did pit again. That should see them see him go to the end of this race about now. So Peggy in P5 with GT in P4. Now the race of this one with RLD, the race in P3 as well, over 9.6 seconds down to the lead, and 3.3 to the next car. Oh no, in fact 6.6 would be the next car. The 3.3 seconds is for it to be behind the car, basically. The gap of how much gap trailed by the car behind is. Meanwhile, Plenty does lead this one, but's got a penalty if he slows down. At the next penalty zone, you could say that Johnny's going to be taking that for now, but I don't think he'll have enough grip or even a little slightest of a better traction than Plenty to really go to the end and not only overtake him but go to the end as well, which is pretty difficult in these circumstances. So much, you know, so they can go to the end, but they will not be able to go to the end because those tires are going to be feeling horrible. Surely Plenty, I think, can now challenge go to the end because he's already lap 17 and now not a lot remains. And I think the way he did that's on those first tires, this one shouldn't be a problem at all. So that explains why they would have wanted that. But I think now, considering just, you know, he's got enough speed, he's got enough of at least where he is, he's going to stay. He doesn't need to think much about it. So the race snake now, some have pitted, some need to pit, but as it stands, the overall standings are Plenty leading ahead of RLD Racing in P2 with GT, OG with P3, Kane in P4, followed by Peggy in P5. Then comes C. Jones in P6, Ryan Cooper in P7, followed by Smoke, Johnny, Monty, Need2, One Parabird, followed by Nuttinhead and Brooklyn Wolf is in the pits already, but I believe he's on it for a set of new tyres out there. Meanwhile, at the top of the field, at least at least somewhat point-scoring field, C. Jones is now trying to get past. He's trying to get ahead of Ryan Cooper. He has gotten ahead of Ryan Cooper there, but for how long will that be the case? It's going to be through and ahead of Jones will be Ryan because of that penalty. Sorry, Jones. Yes, Jones. Oh, interesting. You would have thought he slowed down. You would have thought he's through and ahead of him, but no. Jones in P7 and Ryan in P6. That is interestingly, he's gained a little bit of time. In fact, that is brilliant. In P5, P6 so far. Jones in P7. Only a sole battle. There's a couple of battles, but sole battle in a way that. It's pretty close and nearly into the pack of Smoke Does. Johnny there around the outside is going to try and get a better exit. Yes, he does get a better exit on brand new and fresher tyres than Smoke. And it's going to be past Smoke and ahead of him so far. But he might try and come back at the end of turn 4, but he doesn't just do that yet. And these drivers are brilliantly doing an excellent job at the moment. Meanwhile, our race leader is in P1, Plenty, moving towards lap 19 out of 20. That is going to be pretty difficult. Not really difficult, but I think the pressure, I think 8.8 seconds is nothing. In terms of nothing to really worry about. It's all about the car behind. Unless you make a huge mistake, I doubt that anybody would doubt his lead 8.7 seconds at all if he's got somewhat of a pace. I mean, it's all about how much you want to do and how much you continue. And there's one more race, ladies and gentlemen, after this one more race. And let me tell you, I'm almost been awake for 24 hours now. It was 24 hours ago. It's 1:56 a.m. It was 2 a.m. Last night when I woke up, and it is 1:56 a.m. once more. I haven't slept even for a minute in between, so that is after doing all day's work around here to provide you some good commentary action as well. Meanwhile, we look for actions, we look for drivers to give us some action out on the track and fighting between each other, and these two are going to be doing that. Just will be Paravid and Need2 out here. Will they be able to get closer to the Need2? That's a different question, or a question for later. Meanwhile, one Paravid at the moment in P12, 1.4 seconds to the car behind, and only 1/10 to the car ahead, and is through and ahead of Need2. Will one Parawood go, and a brilliant job has been done by him. Excellently placed. Meanwhile, our race leader is on the final lap as well. He's just not yet in the final sector, so we'll have a look at him because that's interesting. Oh, that is interesting. And towards the very end, he might have retired. And was the driver there in the wall, and that is a horrific incident, ladies and gentlemen. Meanwhile, Plenty's tires are completely gone, those soft tires, but that definitely has helped him. 9.9 seconds overall, as Monty is out of this one after putting it in the wall in the final lap. Meanwhile, Mr. Plenty is going to be the driver who qualified in pole for race 1, is going to win race 1, and is going to be victorious in race 1 out here. So he'll be starting last for the second race. Meanwhile, RLD Racing, we saw him outside the top 5 for most of it. In the end, comes in P2. A brilliant race for him as well. GT, one of the starters who gave us a little bit of a fight at the start, finishes P3. Kane, in the end, after making 2 stops, only comes home in P4. Peggy, Kane's teammate, trying to make it at least a 4 or 5 for the team. Ryan Cooper P7, Ryan Cooper P6, Johnny P7, Jones P8, followed by Smoke in P9, followed by one Paravid, completing out the top 10. Need2, Lubok, and then Wolf in P14. That is brilliant from these drivers. Hope you all watching really enjoyed it and really had fun so far out of all the action that was around here. So now, whatever we see here, the drivers will have the reverse grid. Everyone will start reverse grid of what we see here right now. Right, so it says round 6 here, but I believe it was round 7 because obviously we had the statement, basically we had things. All right, so that is brilliant then out here, ladies and gentlemen. Brilliant victory from Plenty. Congratulations to our winner for race 1. See how it goes. I was told there will be no qualifying for race 2 earlier on, so let's see how it goes in this one. Yeah, that is going to be the case then, ladies and gentlemen. So let's have a start for you guys, and let's have a grid ready for the next race. Obviously, Monty out of the previous one, so I wonder if he didn't finish. So I wonder if they let him start on pole, or does he still start in the final place? But if he does, then P1 for Monty, P2 from Parawood and Jones in P14, followed by interesting, P14 or P15 for one Parawood. That is, so yeah, interesting. Jones in P4 to P2, that's going to be P3 for Wolf. Obviously, it's going to be reverse grid, ladies and gentlemen, for race 2 from race results finishes. So that means Wolf will be P3 with Peggy in P4, followed by P5. It will be Le Buc, and then P6 for Smoke, P7 for Nitu, P8 for P8 for Numtinet, and that is it. As we are getting ready, everything is getting ready, ladies and gentlemen. The grid should be getting ready in a little bit as well, and as soon as it's ready, we will go racing, ladies and gentlemen, for race 2, which should be 20 laps as well. Hope you all watching are enjoying the action right now. If you are, make sure to let us know in the comments. And who do you think is going to win? It was Plenty in race 1 who took a quite dominant victory. Can he come back though? Can he come back from last on the grid to get back to the top? Can he win from the very bottom of the grid again? An art that if he can do, that'll might just be the best driver he can be. Obviously a bit of practice, which I think should not be the case. We should go spectator, but drivers are in the pits, and as soon as everybody is in, or I believe the grid is set up, we should be going racing pretty early, and that should see us race nice and easy. Alright, so we are now ready up as Speed Nicole from ARL leader, and that is interesting. So we should have them, and I wonder what happens if I think Monty might have had a bad connection, which I was saying that he was sliding and lagging around as well, so not sure what exactly went wrong. I don't have any of the exact. I'm not racing there. Obviously, you can judge, but I don't think you should be over-judgeable as a commentator. At least that's what I believe. So looking at this, everybody out here, everyone now wanting to ready up. But look at this. Softs for Para. Kane will be medium. Hard tire for Wolf out there, followed by Mark Plenty on the medium, followed by Smoke on the medium as well, with Numtinet again on a set of softs, followed by GT as well again. Then there is four medium tire runners with RLD, Peggy, Rankupa and Lebuk in the end. Then again the soft tires at the very end of the grid. As it's practice, but we are watching and waiting for these drivers to get ready. We're waiting for these drivers to really set up the cars they are looking to set up, really get ready what they are looking to get ready for, and be ready for another race, which obviously will be brilliant in terms of, ladies and gentlemen, the fact that, okay, everybody's asking to ready up. Two races always provide a nice one, because race one was a brilliant one. You have to say it was not a bad at all. It was fantastic, and now you have to say that even in race 2, nobody would be looking to back off. Nobody would be looking to really slow down. Do we have the same amount of drivers, or has anybody left? Okay, so we have about one driver missing. I think that is none but Monty. Tahir. Oh, Tahir, is he an interesting name, but that is then. So we should, ladies and gentlemen, be starting and ready to go racing as soon as the racing action begins. Maybe we are waiting for Monty out there, but as soon as he's out and about, should be able to go racing. Meanwhile, Nitu is as impatient as we are. Obviously, I'm more sleepy than impatient, rather. So I think I'd be the first person who really want to want this game to be finished, this race to be finished in no time, but obviously giving us an action. Honestly, I'd want this race to be like an eventful one, because if this is an eventful one, you would have laps get passed, you would have laps passed easy, you would have laps go pretty. Right. Right then, for a moment I was, I would have actually had to told to join in to do the grid, but now I don't need to do the grid. That is interesting to say the least. In fact, I'm a spectator with one of those cars. Hopefully the grid is going to be set up. Basically, grid setup is the issue. As soon as that is set up, we'll go racing and racing once more the Red Bull Ring. Actually, for interesting coincidence that my first race on GT7 as a commentator was at the Red Bull Ring as well, and so is the second one. That is an interesting fact. So we'll just be waiting a few minutes time, ladies and gentlemen. As soon as the grid is set and we are ready to go racing, we will be back in no time. Oops, that is going to be a little bit of a problem if that has been an issue, because the mic's okay, so not quite sure why is the commentary gone. That is... Yeah, that's fine. That is fine then. Sorry, that I hope that everything was okay, because you slightly for a moment worried me out there, because obviously everything was okay. So that comes to an end, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you all watching really enjoyed it. This was myself, Zabe, bringing you all this action from Apex Racing League. Hope you all really had fun out there, enjoying, and really was worth staying and watching these two races. The first event, obviously, with these guys. So I'm hoping for the future this would have been, this will be a great one as well. So that is then it, ladies and gentlemen. It was myself, Zabe, and from all of you, from all of us here at Apex Racing, adios, bye-bye, and I'm out.